Alright, so my Stampede Duststorm is overall pretty much stock, besides, like, you know, the tires and the bodies and, you know, that such. Battery's different, but overall it's stock. Stock components, stock electronics, XL5, brushed motor. Basic Stampede. Got some aluminum, you know, so it is upgraded a tad, but overall it's a basic Stampede. I'm going to change that significantly. Everything performance-wise, power, suspension, traction, all that is going to dramatically change. And it's going to be awesome. But first, I think I need to show you what I have to put into my truck Duststorm. This is everything that is going in that truck. Like I said, this is going to be awesome. This is probably going to be one of the last things that I put in my truck. Mostly because racing with Team Extreme RC, I'm not sure if I'll be able to use a brushless system in the area that we're going to be in. And then also I gotta get some parts soldered onto this, like the connector. Traxxas connector. Little fan for it to keep it nice and cool. Only get running 2S, so it's not gonna overheat like my brother's does on 3S. New transmission case, because the current one is all dented up from the screws that are holding the current motor in. So you gotta start fresh, get it all set up. Skid plate, brace, deals, whatever the hell these are called, because they're broken on here currently. And then all of the Proline parts. Truck's getting a full set of PowerStroke shocks. All of the tuning springs for the shocks. Universal mounting hardware. These new HD splined shafts. These are going to be awesome. And then I have every part that I need to get this truck with the ProTrac suspension. So I got the ProTrac A-arms, shock towers, and then the links, because it needs longer links. Now the downfall of these links is you have to measure them. So I have to take the pre-existing ones apart. These are the Traxxas ones. Gotta take these apart, put it back together on these, and measure them. Yay. So that should be interesting. Also got a front brace, keep that front end together. You can't really see it, but over there, I already kind of used them. I got some prime tires for this thing from the streets. It's kind of a poor time to get them because it's almost winter. But that's why I got a set of sand paws. I'm gonna rip the snow this year. So all this awesome is going in Duststorm. Complete overhaul. Performance, handling, everything. And it's going to be awesome. It's actually kind of funny. I got all these upgrades for this truck, and I just recently rebuilt the transmission with new bearings and fresh grease, and all 4 shocks with new oil and new bump stops. And now it's all going to change. Which isn't a bad thing. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'll probably keep these shocks as backups in case anything goes awry. Or do something else with them. Not sure yet. Now I gotta tear her down, get the front end, get the rear end, because I don't need anything from the center. So I've gotten the whole front end apart now, and what I'm currently doing is I'm using this little tool. I'll probably get something better out of my shop, but I'm just shaving this down some because with these new Proline A-arms, it's really tight. And that's actually getting better now. But I don't want it that tight, so I gotta shave it down. I don't really want to shave the actual arms down. There's a lot more material here, I believe. So yeah, I got the whole front end torn apart, got the pile of tools at the ready, decided to take the drill out because undoing it by hand was starting to kill my wrist. It's a little bit more than I really need, but it's only one that was charged. So I noticed that getting in deep into this truck, that a lot of the screws have a lot of rust. Mostly surface rust. And what I did was, these screws, you won't be able to see it, but those screws had a lot of surface rust. So I took it to my wire wheel in my shop and just grind it down. Not too hard, just enough to get that surface rust off. It was kind of annoying because I had this screw kit laying around for some time now, and I thought I would have everything that I would need, and it doesn't. So I just am using the ones that already were in the truck. Just clean them up a little bit because of all the surface rust. And I'm thinking that any truck will have that if you use it enough. Like I said, I got the whole front end apart. Rear end is going to be next after this. Left the links for last because I really don't want to do it, but I'm going to have to just get it done. Alright, so the front end is nearing completion. I have the shock tower, shocks, A-arms, brace, bumper. Almost everything is on so far. I still need to take care of the links, but I'm thinking I'm going to take care of these last and do them all at once. So my shock setup is going to be, I'm going to be using 45 weight shock oil in my shocks because that's what I was using previously, and I like it. So I'm going to see where it takes me with these newer shocks. Now, let's see if I can get this in frame first. Alright, so I have the Traxxas aluminum caster blocks and hubs. I even have the hubs in the rear. And when I went to put these on the A-arms, they were really tight. Well, I should rephrase that. They were tight. They don't pivot freely. And I really want them to. It'll help the suspension better. So I'm debating about shaving the insides to let it pivot more freely. So I'm going to have to make that decision, and hopefully I'll make this work. So far, it's coming together really nicely. I use the universal mounting hardware to put this on, so no more will I have screws backing out. Because that was a big issue that I had. The shock screw always backed out. I always had to get in there and put it back on. Now, to a more pressing matter. On my truck, I run this Cybox Servo. Now, in this truck, I'm not a fan of this servo. Not at all. And also, look at the size of it. It's fairly large. Now, take a look at my stock shock tower. I had to cut this notch into the shock tower to get that servo to fit so the front end of the truck would fit onto the chassis. Now, I went to mock this up, and I couldn't. Because look at Proline's shock tower. Look how much material is there. Oops. There we go. This is devastating. I'm either going to have to cut it to accommodate for that servo, or go pick up a different servo. Which would be horrible because there's all the settings that are already programmed into it. What to do? I find this devastating because I do not want to cut this shock tower. Especially with how much structure there appears to be there. So I am very puzzled about this. I'm going to continue. I have the rear end to work on next. Tear this apart, put it back together. This is going to be a lot easier. I'm going to have to come back to the front end and figure out what to do. I guess all I can do now is keep working and see what happens. Alright, so I've moved on from the front end, and I'm now dismantling the rear. Still not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the front end. I'm going to wait till I get everything else done, then kind of worry about it a bit. Puzzles me a bit, not 100% sure what to do with it. Right now I'm tearing this down so I can get the new A-arms on, new shocks, new tower, new transmission case, all the works for the rear. Like I said, if I can get everything else done and worry about that last, that'll be perfectly fine. Alright, so I got the whole rear end practically put back together. I am losing bearings. Brand new transmission case, hold everything together, some fresh grease in there. Got the ProTrac A-arms. There we go. ProTrac A-arms. I also got these new Traxxas Wheelie Bar wheels. They're going to help once I'm putting the power down, once I get the brushless system in there. Right now I'm going to mount up the Proline shock tower and kind of mock it up. I haven't done the links yet, but I'm going to mock it all up, make sure it's all good, and then do the links. So it should work. Like I said, don't really want to do the links, but it shouldn't be that hard. I just gotta remember how to measure in millimeters. So yeah, I just gotta take this off again to get to the screws that screw the shock tower down to the transmission. This is always in my way. I always neglect taking it on or off. It's like, oh, I can get around it, force my way through there, bend the plastic, whatever. Oh yeah, this is going to be awesome. Even with no shock fluid, they feel good. Now I'm probably going to do these, then the dreaded links. Got them all right here. Got them at the ready. I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to see how far these ones can go, because I'd like to keep them red, but these ones are stronger, so I might just put these ones on so I can have the strength. So far, besides the front end not fitting because that's servo, this is all going quite smoothly. Alright, so this is what I decided to do. I decided to put my head down, work on these, and get them done. And here's where I'm at. The rear end is completely done. The front end is completely done. Now I just have to put them on the truck. But there are a few things that I question. I'll start with the rear. So, everything's on here. Everything from the Proline, ProTrac suspension to the PowerStroke shocks to the HD splined shafts. But here's my issue. So these are the HD spline shafts, and they almost don't fit. There's about 1/8 of an inch of this shaft in here, and then it moves because there's only about 1/8 of an inch in there. And that concerns me because I'm going brushless soon. I guess we'll see what happens. But besides that, the rear end is perfect. 100% done. New transmission case, new shock towers, new shocks, new A-arms. Got all the camber links done. I kept on saying that I was avoiding it because it's a pain in the ass, and it is, but I got it done. So, yeah. And in the front, these caster blocks were interesting. Whoop. Hold on. Alright, so these caster blocks were a little interesting. I actually had to go into my shop and take them to the grinder wheel. The actual grinder wheel, not the wire wheel that I was using to clean the screws up. I had to grind it down so it would fit in here nicely and pivot. And pivot correctly, smoothly, and so forth. Now, there really is nothing wrong with the front end. It's just I still have to figure out what to do with the servo situation because of all the extra plastic on the Proline shock tower. Come on. There you go. All this extra. So that's where the servo would sit, and that's where the shock tower is. And with the Cybox Servo that I have, this is an issue. But I think I'm going to fix it by using the servo out of my Wraith. And I believe it is the same size as a stock Stampede servo, so it should fit. And then I'll just put the Cybox in the Wraith. Shocks are full, 45 weight. Now I just got to install it, which shouldn't be that hard. So let's do that. Okay, so the truck is back together. And in the process of putting it back together, I ran across a few minor problems, I would say. So with the ProTrac suspension, the stance of the truck is now kind of like a pre-runner. The front end is wider than the rear end. I personally would not like this to be, but I've been working on it and I haven't quite figured it out yet. I've been trying to put the fronts on the rear and vice versa and change the hubs out because, you know, there's different thicknesses. You should be able to see that. But I'll run it as is. It's only a little bit wider currently. I'll see what happens. I've also been tuning the camber links a lot because the whatever it is, the angle of the tire was not where I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be flatter, and it was really cambered out. So I fixed that. As it sits, the suspension isn't where I want it. due to the nature of this truck, most of the weight is in the rear. So right now, the rear is really soft, and the front is really springy. So I'm going to be changing that. Thanks to the different mounting positions with the ProTrac suspension, I'll be doing some of that. And then also, I have the spring assortment kits. So this is going to help me a lot to dial this in so it handles the way that I want it to. The shocks are full of oil. They have 45 weight oil. I think I already mentioned that, but whatever. It's currently... Servo is sitting right here. This is the Cybox Servo. I'm going to be putting the Wraith servo in here because I believe it's the same size as a stock Stampede servo. So the Wraith, the Traxxas Servo will go in here, and the Cybox will go in the Wraith. It should work. Who knows? And then I can start running it, tuning it, getting it to where I want it to be. And then I can start throwing some power at it. And this is going to be fun. The front skid plate, this isn't going to go on for a while, actually. So I went into my shop and got the wire wheel, got all the rust off, got all the old paint off. But it's going to be a while before this actually gets on the truck, because I got to go pick up some spray and bed liner. That's what I used last time, and it held up quite well. I'm going to put more bed liner on it, and it should work out great. Or should I just leave it without paint? Looks pretty mean without paint. Yeah, I'll probably paint it. But yeah, the truck is pretty much done, which is awesome because this has been kicking my ass for a while now. So yeah. It is official. Duststorm is finished. Put back together. Running. Everything works. And I am very happy that everything is working. It's about, I would say, 98% put back together. I still have the skid plate, which is going to be put on much later, because I need to get a fresh coat of bed liner on here. I took it to the grinding wheel, or the wire wheel, I should say. Cleaned her up, got all the rust off it, got the old paint off it. And then when I get around to it, which will be, like I said, much later, be a fresh coat of bed liner. Very nice. Now, the truck. Like I said, everything is running. The Traxxas Servo from the Wraith works great. The Cybox is in the Wraith. And just like before, I'm still not a fan of it. I'll get to that eventually. Later in a different video. Truck is together. PowerStrokes are working. Tires are working. Unfortunately, I had to take the HD splined drive shafts from Proline out because they were just too short and it was causing a lot of binding. I wasn't a fan of it, so I put the plastic ones back in and it should work for now until I drop the power system in. Some things that I've noticed with the Proline parts, the front end is a little bit wider than the rear with the ProTrac suspension. It almost seems like a pre-runner. This is just a little bit wider than the rear. It's not the end of the world. It just looks a little odd when you first glance at it. You're like, oh, it's a little bit wider. Suspension works great. The tires are working. I do need to open the transmission up again and clean it, because when I swapped transmission cases, I didn't clean the gears of all of the old gunk. So now it's really loud. Like, everything's running smooth. It's loud because of all the gunk that was left on the gears when I swapped it out. Yeah, it's together. It's working. It's ripping. The suspension is absolutely amazing. These PowerStrokes are great. Traxxas Servo fit right in there. I'm very happy about that. I did not have to cut the Proline shock tower. I've been adjusting the camber, the toe in, the toe out. I've been adjusting everything just like crazy, getting this thing to handle like it should. I'm not a big fan of the suspension squatting, but you kind of want that squat, so you know that the suspension is going to do its job. The front end is really tall now that I don't have a limiter strap in there. I might put it in, I might leave it out. I haven't put the skid plate on yet, so that may add a little bit of weight to it, bring it down a bit. But yeah, this is handling really well. It's working great. Got the battery in there. One thing that really sucks about the ProTrac suspension is that I don't think you'll be able to see it very well, but I will try. No, you won't be able to see it very well, but I will try anyway. The rear end with the ProTrac suspension has a very slight toe-in. And with that very slight toe-in, it will not hold a wheelie. It will get up on a wheelie, but it will not hold it. Once it gets up there, it just starts bouncing back and forth, and it brings it back down. Because of that toe-in. That's one thing that I hate about this setup. But besides that, it's an amazing setup, amazing parts. Like I said before, had to take these out. Sucks, because I really wanted to use them. But Proline did tell me that they will be coming out with these that will fit the ProTrac suspension. Because these would fit the stock suspension, not the ProTrac suspension. It's unfortunate, but whatever. All I gotta do, finish up a few things, and it'll be 100%. Get the system in there. Just in case people are wondering, this is the 5700 kV Sidewinder 3. I'll only be running 2S on it, so it should work perfectly fine. Got the ESC fan to go with it. So yeah, Duststorm, up and running, practically a brand new truck, handles differently, gets power to the ground, and I'm really liking it. So that's it. Duststorm is complete, back up and running, ripping actually. All I gotta do now is finish up a few things, and this truck is going to be just even more amazing. I gotta thank you if you made it this far. Comment, like, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. I do have more videos. So that's Duststorm. Practically a brand new truck. Up next, my Wraith. I have a lot of things to say about this truck. Most good. Most of them are good things. So that will be next. Thanks for watching.